This is the most requested club review on my channel in 2023. And to be honest with you, it's a little bit of a surprise. Build My Bag driver, cancel the first video, cancel it. So a few weeks ago, I released the first Build My Bag video of the year focused on the driver. The tailor-made Stealth 2 Plus won that video and is in the bag, but in the comments, I was absolutely chastised for not trying a certain driver. And they were the new Dynapwr drivers from Wilson.
Well done! Well done!
Now, I have absolutely no idea how they are going to perform. Firstly, I need to ask myself the question, why so many people wanted to see this driver in action? Oh, what? Rocket. I've done several videos on Wilson irons and I think they are vastly, criminally overlooked. But Wilson drivers over the past decade have a somewhat mixed reputation. I'm literally obliterating there. Certainly not in the same league as what I would describe as the main driver manufacturers. This is absolutely unreal. That is landing now. However, this year, many of you are telling me things have changed, that these new drivers have come to the party of the major manufacturers and they're knocking at the door not too politely and asking to be let in.
Here's well done!
There are two Dynapwr driver heads being released. There's the carbon model and the titanium. Price-wise, they're actually coming in much cheaper than other big branded drivers. Now, if the performance is good, that could be a significant factor in whether you might want to look at these drivers. So what are we looking at here? Now, the Dynapwr name for Wilson has some heritage, stretching all the way back to 1954, where it was used by some incredible golfers. It was followed pretty quickly after that by being the first golf club hit off planet when Alan Shepard whacked the golf ball away on the moon. But let's be honest about this, it's in 2023 that really matters to you. Does the Dynapwr carry on the heritage and the legacy of that name? The carbon driver has, as you might expect, carbon in it. Panels on the crown and the heel have saved some weight that engineers have used to shift the center of gravity forward and lower in the head. This allows lower spinning drivers aimed at better players. The titanium driver is a little bit more conventional for Wilson and is all about forgiveness. Wilson say helping players get the ball airborne with a slight draw bias. Here are the different loft options available in both heads, and the fact there's an 8-degree option in the carbon is eye-opening. They are not messing around trying to entice those better players. Wilson have also invested in some AI supercomputer time to develop a variable thickness face. Before this review, I must admit I had to park a little bit of my own snobbery. I don't expect Wilson drivers to be that good. Behind the ball, it actually looks quite nice. I mean, the carbon is noticeable, but it's not completely in your face. The head sits quite nice as well. It does look like a slightly better player's driver. Oh, in the bag, by the way. I have to say, feel-wise, this driver is not what I expected. It feels very, very strong, very powerful. It's kind of springing off the face with a lot more, almost a dynamism.
There's no M before.
I almost said dynamism. Maybe that's why they shortened it to Dynapwr, because no one can actually pronounce dynamism. Ooh, that's a bit of a slice there. Spencer, you very kindly gave me some Pro Vs to hit down the driving range. You may not get that one back, I'm afraid. I mean, straight up, this is 1000% the best Wilson driver I've ever hit. Like, there is no doubt about that. Feel-wise, flight-wise, probably see here on the shot trace, I'm going towards like the right-hand corner of the range here. And it's just flying there, lovely, slight fade away. Now the titanium driver behind the ball, I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't look as exciting as you might expect. There is a distinct lack of carbon on this, and it does look very different than the carbon version of the Dynapwr driver. It has the same alignment marking at the front, which is quite nice. Around the skirt, it's got some nubbins, and it's got some embossed text on here that says let it fly. You know what, Wilson, why not? Let's give it a go. It's a very different sound and feel. Very different. So I can definitely see and feel here that there's a little bit more offset in this club head. So these shots are taking off slightly further to the left and they're staying a little bit more left in their flight. That's all right there, a little bit more of a cut. Feels good again, strong like. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. This is rewriting what I think about Wilson drivers, it really is. We're on the 6th hole here at Aguila Golf Club and we're just gonna have a quick comparison of these drivers. So obviously the carbon, I would say, is the more impressive looking, but I think the titanium could still do a job. So 10.5 degree head, just cranked down to 9.5, and this is a 9 degree head, so I'm going to lift it up by, you guessed it, I reckon you're going to be able to throw a blanket over that. Okay, let's have a look. So we've got titanium and we have a carbon. Now, it's not very often that we do a club review and we don't lose a ball. And today, ladies and gentlemen, here in the beautiful state of Arizona, we have a YouTube first. Not a single ball has been lost during testing. And Jacob, if you go that side, I'll just show you this. How's that for consistency? That is crazy. Isn't that the craziest thing? Oh, it makes this easier as well, doesn't it? Oh, what time to be alive. Well, I think we'd call that pretty even. So, I mean, they were very, very similar. The carbon driver for me does feel better. There's no doubt about that. It feels a little bit more powerful. It sounds a little bit nicer as well. So we are back in the studio and it is time to have a look at the data from both these drivers. Now, because of the static lofts on the head and the way that the shaft sleeves work, I'm going to be testing both of these drivers out at 10.5 degrees. Now that's not going to allow us to compare them to some of the other drivers that I've been testing this year, but it will give us a decent comparison of how it performs against a 10.5 degree driver from a major brand. In this particular video, let's put it up against the Ping G430 Max. Now, because of the loft at 10.5 degrees, I'm going to be swinging it at about 100 to 105 miles an hour. That's going to be around the swing speed of most of the golfers who are going to buy this driver. So let's start out having a look at the data from both the titanium and the carbon Dynapwr. And I saw actually quite a big difference when it was on the launch monitor. So club speeds pretty similar, so 105 for the titanium and 106 for the carbon, so there is 1 mile an hour difference, but that doesn't explain all the data. Both of the ball speeds of these drivers very consistent at 149.5 and 149.6 respectively, but the spin rate, that is where we see the first major difference. So your average spin rate here with the titanium driver was 2,715. Now with the carbon version, remember this is at the same loft, swing speeds pretty much identical, strike patterns pretty much identical. The spin dropped right down to just below 2,000 at 1,983. And this made quite a big difference in your overall distance numbers. So the carry distance with the titanium was 250 and the carbon was 254.9, so 255. Total distance, 270 with the titanium, 281 with the carbon. Now that was mainly down to spin rates, but I have to say, flight-wise, accuracy, feel, everything for me was better with the carbon driver. So if I was to make a recommendation of the two versions of the Wilson, it would be the carbon. It feels better, I think it looks better, it sounds better, I can control it better. Everything about it just gives me that little bit extra. So let's compare this to the G430 Max driver from Ping. Certainly one of the most hyped up drivers and most eagerly anticipated of this year. And also, price-wise, there's quite a difference between these two models. But what about performance? Well, I have to say, the Wilson just edged it. So the titanium Wilson and the titanium Ping, the Ping did just come out slightly on top. Again, we're talking a very small amount of variation. But the carbon driver, for me, again, was a bit better. It looks better, it sounds a bit better. I think the Ping was probably just easier to hit, but distance-wise, again, because of the control of the spin, got an extra 8 yards out of that driver. I've got to be honest, I am very thankful for the fact that you guys got onto me in the comments and convinced me to try out this Wilson driver. If you hadn't, I'm not sure I would have. I'm not massively keen on the name, and Wilson drivers I've tried in the past have flattered to deceive a little bit. So just want to say thank you for reaching out and making me hit this driver, because it was a very pleasant surprise. Right guys, a huge thank you for watching. If you do want to continue having a look at the club reviews here on the channel, check these out here. But before you do that, make sure you subscribe and become a part of the community we are building here on YouTube. All right guys, see you next time. Wilson, who knew? Who knew?